In this episode, we assist a viewer looking to downsize from the Mercedes-Benz to a more compact vehicle.
We set out to find the perfect bakkie for transporting building bricks.
And we guide a viewer looking to replace spark plugs on their Honda Jazz.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Guide. Every week, try to provide you with useful advice, whether it relates to buying, selling, or just maintaining a vehicle. If you've got a question for the team, you can send an email to buyersguide@ignitiontv.co.za and contain as much information as possible, as well as a nice picture of yourself.
And joining us in studio to help resolve those troubling automotive issues is Alan Rosenmeyer from Motor Matters and the Ginger Ninja, Mr. Mike Bradshaw from Top Gear Auto. Gentlemen, nice to have you all in studio.
Nice to be back.
Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us, guys. Good to see you here.
All right, let's get into our first question, which comes from Johan. He bought a Chev Lumina 6-litre for 170,000 Rand a decade ago, which appreciated by, wait for it, 100,000 Rand in 6 years. He is now seeking a car in the 100,000 to 200,000 Rand range that could become a classic and appreciate in value. What classic or future classic cars would you gentlemen recommend in this budget? Mr. Bradshaw?
Ooh. I would look for
classic,
a future classic. For me would be a BMW Z3.
Yeah.
5 to 8 years ago, I was paying as a trade-in between 50 and 65. They are now at around the 110 to 120.
And that's a trade.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you could find a Z3 and be patient, they are around there. That is going to be something very, very special. Remember, when it came out, it was way ahead of its time. It looked futuristic.
Ugly.
It still looks ugly.
It
still looks ugly, but it's gorgeously ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got any ideas, Alan?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of the Z3. I like that. But you know what? And I don't know if you could still get them at that money. The early Suzuki Swift Sport,
Yeah.
the 1.6, and the very first ones, there were actually a batch of two-door ones. I don't know if you recall.
Yeah, I remember.
Now, I think they only brought like 150 into the country at the time. And I don't know why, that car's always caught my eye, and I reckon that one. Because up to 200 is not a lot of money in today's world.
No, it's not in terms of cars.
Yeah. So I don't know what you think of that as an option.
It's not an option, not a bad option. One I'll throw in, as a car that actually I've got, is a Porsche Boxster. So you buy like 2001, 2002, I think they're from 99 to like 2005, Porsche Boxsters. You can pick them up with low mileage on for like 150 to 180,000 Ks. I mean, my one's only got 80,000 Ks on it.
But you stole your one from the client.
Yeah, well, it's another story. But but the thing is, you know, if you look at Porsches, Mike, I think you'll agree with me, Porsches do have great resale value.
Probably the best resale value of any car that I know
Really?
of. As a complete stable.
So to
Porsche is the
get into that market, I mean, I know, like a friend of mine had an older Porsche, which I think is horrible. I've forgotten even what model it was. It's the one with like the Beetle engine in it, and it's horrible inside. And he sold it for like 650,000 Rand. I would give 50 Rand for it.
Adam, I remember
914.
Well, the Targa. Do you remember the old Targa?
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you know somebody drives a Targa? His left thigh was twice the size
Size as his right
of his
thigh.
right thigh, because
Yes.
the clutch was so. Now, those things, you couldn't shoehorn somebody into that car for 80,000 Rand.
Yes.
Now try find one south of 800,000 Rand.
There we go.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of
You know,
suggestions for if you want to look.
I told him to look at a Honda 2000.
Oh, yes.
Well,
S2000?
I
Can you
don't
find
think
one
you get it
under
under
200,000?
200.
No, I can't find one under 200,000. I look
Then it's
real
a-
hard.
then it's a bad car.
Those are 400-500 by now.
Exactly. Okay, guys, let's move on to our next question, which is from Olga, a regular viewer of the show, preparing for retirement and looking to downsize to a small car. She's considering options like the Hyundai i20, Toyota Starlet. Currently, she drives a 2019 Mercedes-Benz GLA200 with 46,000 Ks on the clock and is planning to sell. Olga would like advice on how much she could potentially get for her car. So we've got Mike here, and I'm sure he'll help us with that. So here we got a 2019 GLA200 low mileage, 46,000 Ks. That's a desirable car for the trade, right?
Beautiful car.
Yes.
Beautiful car. Why sell it?
I was going to ask exactly.
Why sell it with that mileage?
Mike.
You know, I get a lot of flack for this. If the car is out of plan, take it to a Mercedes-Benz specialist workshop. Don't take it back to Mercedes-Benz. They're not expensive to keep on the road, and they don't give trouble.
So the thing is here, you go from a GLA200. Do you want to drive an i20 or a Starlet?
I don't.
No,
I don't.
I don't.
Do you,
But
do you know what I said there is she should look at the Mazda 2 if she really wants to
Yeah.
downsize to a smaller car. That was sort
It's
of
a bit more premium.
exactly, much smaller, but very, relatively premium compared to the Merc.
You know, for someone who's retiring, I want to retire in comfort. I want to keep my GLA.
look, currently that
for
car,
me,
Yeah.
she could get a king's ransom for that car.
Yes,
I would
with that
happily pay
mileage.
450,000 rand for that car. Happily,
Yeah. So if we look at that, so
then she can get 2 i20s.
probably.
yeah. Well, this is an interesting thing because do you keep, if it had 146,000 kilometers,
It'll be a
say,
different
okay,
story, yeah.
Different story because, it's going to be expensive to maintain. But the thing is here, maybe she wants to get rid of that car and then downsize and take a little bit of liquidity out of the vehicle. So like you say, let's say 450,000 Rand as an example. And you go and buy yourself a Toyota Starlet, which is a great little car. It's going to cost you, the top of the range one's going to cost you 300,000 Rand.
330 at the moment.
Yeah, so I'm just rounding it off here. So you've got roughly 150,000 Rand to stick in the bank, which is quite nice if you want to, if you're retiring and you need all that cash. But if you don't need the money out of it, you're going to do, in what is it, 2019, so that's a 5-year-old car, you're doing roughly 10,000 kilometers a year. So if you keep it for another 5 years, the vehicle's still only on 100,000 Ks. And you may actually do even less mileage if you're retiring, because you're not going to go to work or back or whatever.
You know, Olga says she's preparing for retirement.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, she might be 30 years old. She's just
Well-
preparing for retirement.
I doubt that. But
Come on.
But I think we'd all agree it's keep the car, unless, of course, you want to get some liquidity out of the car. If you want to get liquidity out of the car, then take it along to Mike. He'll buy it from you, and he'll sell you something else.
Someone other than
Basically,
Mike has offered her about 300K for this Mercedes because he sees a bargain here. This is like those unicorn cars Adam talks about. So I would keep it. I would most definitely keep this car. I wouldn't get rid of it.
Yeah, depends on. It's all about sending us as much information as possible.
Possible, yes.
So we can understand how to advise you. But I think we're all agreement. It's a low mileage car. Keep the car. If you want to get liquidity out of it, then i20 or Toyota Starlet, they're both good cars, and you won't go wrong with either, depending on what you prefer.
Okay, stay tuned because after the break we set out to find the perfect bakkie for transporting building bricks.
And we evaluate whether upgrading to the latest Kia Sportage is worth it. Welcome back to Buyer's Guide. Nkosanathi from White River has a budget of 350,000 Rand and is seeking a reliable vehicle. He's ruled out a 2018 Mitsubishi Triton 2.4 due to no warranty and is now considering a 2021 GWM Steed 5 2-litre with low mileage. His main concern is whether the 2-litre diesel engine can last at least 10 years, as he needs it for daily driving and transporting building bricks. Well, I think if you're transporting bricks on the back of a bakkie, the whole car's going to be shot before the engine is. Huh?
Definitely.
It's a problem.
That engine will last a long time, but the body, I don't have any.
What do you think of the GWM?
I don't know enough about them in 10 years' time, but
Yeah.
if you consider engineering today, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't foresee it's going to be a problem at all. I think that engine will do 10 years.
It's maintenance, isn't it?
That's
about
it. But I will say this: the Triton, they just never break. It's probably Mitsubishi's best kept secret. They don't die, and you can always buy a warranty, aftermarket warranty, if you're concerned. But if you go and speak to somebody that owns a Triton or a Mitsubishi, they will tell you how much they love it because of the trouble-free motoring.
Let's ask Alan. I know you would have driven both the GWM and the Mitsubishi.
I have, yeah.
So which one, where would you put your money?
Look, the Mitsubishi is definitely a good option, but I want to just go a bit further because the GWM, first of all, the earlier ones had either a Toyota-based or a Isuzu-based engine. So I've got no issue with it lasting 10 years.
Yeah.
The engine, as you say, chuck bricks on it all day, every day. The buck may have a problem, but
let's get something clear here. It isn't an Isuzu or Toyota engine. It's a copy.
yeah, Isuzu based, as I said, yeah.
It's a copy of.
But there are a lot of the early Steeds still running around with the engines. I mean, the Steeds have been on the market in South Africa
for a long
coming up
time.
for 18 years now.
Yeah.
So they've got a history. But what actually caught me more than that was the price he's talking. Because I had a look at a few vehicles, and he's talking A 2021 double cab with 38,000 Ks, I found for 250,000 Rand.
So it's well within his budget.
Well under. I mean, he can even get a P-Series double cab automatic for 330,000.
Yeah, so it's fitting into his budget.
Well in his budget.
And P-Series is huge.
P-Series is much bigger, much more luxurious, much more comfortable. If he wants a single cab, there was a 24 model with basically brand new 500 Ks for 335,000 I found.
And single cab is most probably the way to go because you can put more bricks on the back.
Correct,
Yeah.
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 But I'm saying that, you know, there he's going basically brand new,
Yeah.
well within his budget, and not knocking the Triton, but why buy a 6-year-old bakkie when you can get a brand new one, warranty, service plans, and everything else thrown in?
Can I tell you why?
Good advice, yeah.
Because the 6-year-old one will still be around when the later model is done and dusted. But
Look, the Mitsubishi is good, but when you look at
Yeah.
it like and say out of warranty or get one in warranty, and remember you're going to get a service plan and stuff like that with it. So maybe the option is to go for the GWM. I don't think it's a bad vehicle.
okay, our next question is from Willie, who hails from Johannesburg, and he owns a Hyundai Tucson with 42,000 kilometers on the clock. However, he finds his car fuel heavy and sluggish when overtaking. He's considering a 2024 Kia Sportage 1.6 CRDI EX diesel demo for 600,000 Rand. He is attracted to its better fuel efficiency and service plan, which is included in this price. Gentlemen, would that be a wise upgrade? Alan?
Okay, I'm not sure how old his Tucson is. That's my first question. And is it paid up or is it on finance?
You know, it's a 2-liter premium auto with 42,000
Yeah.
kilometers on the clock and a full service history. I wonder what he's complaining, 9.5 liters per 100 kilometers.
Well, the rated fuel economy on the Sportage is 6, okay, which obviously is in optimum. You're going to have to
You're
drive,
driving at 35 kilometers an hour,
Yeah.
you get 6 liters to 100.
but what I'm saying is to go and spend 600,000 Rand, let's say that's about 15,000 Rand a month on finance, right? How much driving do you have to do to spend 2,000 Rand extra on fuel, even,
Yeah, see,
of that 15?
It's an important thing, but obviously he's complaining about he's not happy with the performance.
The
The
sluggish
Sportage-
overtaking is an issue, yeah.
The Sportage is a great car. It's really modern. It's really well finished. It's a premium product. But the Tucson's also good. Obviously, a 1.6 diesel, Mike, you're going to get a lot more power than you will in a 2-liter normally aspirated. You know,
And more fuel efficient.
yeah,
I think they're great. They also look great.
yeah.
They're well appointed. I think if that's what he really wants, I can't steer him away from that.
So obviously, you're going to get a more powerful car with the Kia. You're going to get better fuel consumption. If those are the two things that are your criteria that you're looking for, and you understand the cost implications of what it's going to cost you to upgrade to that, and you're happy with that, then I think it's a great move.
Yeah, but he mustn't think that he's going to get back his fuel saving on the diesel.
That's right.
Because then
Somebody
he'll have to
like-
keep this diesel for like 90 years before he sees
Yeah.
the saving back.
But also, what you do get is you get better drivability, and it's nicer to drive.
Yeah, and it's a
more
little
powerful.
nippier car and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
So if you're happy with that, and you're happy with the extra expense that you're going to spend, then cool, go for it. Because that Kia Sportage, I think, is very underrated, and I'm surprised we don't see more of them on the road. They're really good little cars.
The last thing I'll say is that that's a good deal he's been offered on that demo because the list price is 717
Yes.
right now.
100K
Yeah.
off.
So
750
120K
about,
off is a nice deal on a demo.
Yeah. Sounds like a great option. Okay, we're going to be taking a short break, but when we get back, we guide a viewer looking to replace the spark plugs on their Honda Jazz.
And we investigate a misfiring issue in a VW Golf TDI. Hello and thank you for tuning in to Buyer's Guide. Pierre's daughter inherited a 2005 Honda Jazz with 100,000 kilometers with a full service history. Pierre is puzzled by the need to replace 8 spark plugs at every 10,000 kilometer service. He wonders if he can instruct the service manager to replace 4 spark plugs per service. And the other 4 at the next one. Is this feasible? Okay, first you need to understand.
I think what's going to happen here is he's got to find a new service manager, because how do you change the spark plugs every 10?
10,000, exactly.
This recommended service interval
100,000.
replacement, no, on those
On those
plugs
8 is 20.
is every 30,000.
Oh,
So it's
30.
every second service, every 15,000 kilometers. So the service intervals is, let's start from the beginning. 15,000 is the first service, 30,000 your next service, you change the spark plugs. But What you can do is you can upgrade those spark plugs if you want to. So you'd only change them every 100,000
yeah.
to a long life platinum tipped or zirconium tipped spark plug. Then you replace them every 100,000. Is a lot more expensive. But you don't need to replace them every 10,000.
Yeah.
If they change them every 10,000 kilometers, because they're trying to making money out of it.
And he can't only change 4.
Well, yeah.
You can't just change 4
Yeah.
because each cylinder takes 2 spark plugs. Now, can you imagine? Okay, I'll replace this 4, this 10,000 kilometers. Never mind, the other 4 are dead. You know?
Yeah. Replace them every 30,000
Yes.
kilometers, and not every 10,000.
Or anyway, Adam, just if you look at the spark plugs and they don't need to be replaced,
Yeah.
you don't have to.
Yeah, but you know, most workshops and service, they're trying to upsell you.
Upsell you stuff, yes.
So just
Yeah,
remember,
but that's taking it to the extreme.
yeah, they will be good. I know because I work on hundreds of Honda Jazzes. This is the 1.4, the early version with the 8
yeah.
spark plugs. The other versions don't have.
The other version
8,
takes
they
4,
have
yeah.
4. So what I'd recommend you do is just replace them every 30,000 kilometers. They're good for about 45, 50,000, but every 30,000 you won't have a problem. So that's only
You can run them to 60,000 even.
if your daughter's driving in the car, that's going to be every 2 years, because that's about the average driving is 15,000 k's a year.
Well, if you look, this car basically has done 5,000 a year.
Well, she
Yes.
inherited, so
Yeah.
maybe it got
Yeah.
passed on from granny.
That's, yeah.
From his mother, yes. He's got it from his mother, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So don't change them every 10,000. Change them every 30,000.
So you shouldn't change the spark plugs at all. Those spark plugs are still original and brand new.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to wrap up things with a question from John. He's the owner of a 2016 Volkswagen Golf TDI with 195,000 k's on the clock. He's experiencing engine misfiring and getting a persistent check engine light and increased fuel consumption. He's replaced some components in the car and the issue still remains unresolved. Could the problem be related to the fuel injectors or turbocharger? And what steps should he take next to address this issue? So obviously this is a technical problem, and misfires can be caused by so many things. So what I would certainly recommend, this is when you have problems like this, it's beyond the average do-it-yourselfer's qualifications as such to actually repair it. You need to take it along to Volkswagen, to a good aftermarket workshop, and let them run a diagnostic test on the vehicle to see why the little engine management light comes on. Because the management light's coming on to tell you there's a fault. So what is causing that fault? Is it spark plugs? Is it injection coils? Is it
TDI,
injectors? If it's a diesel, is it the injectors themselves, or many other things that can cause the problem? So depending on if it's diesel or petrol or whatever. So take it into a workshop, let them analyze the error code that comes up on the engine, that little orange light, you know, the check engine light, and that will point the technician in the direction to resolve that
You know,
problem.
the fact that the check engine light is coming on also could be something very small. You know, like one of the sensors on there, a boost sensor or
It
something
can
like
be
that.
a simple
Can
thing
be
like
simple-
an air leak in
Yes.
air leak in the system,
And
which
that-
upsets the fuel mixtures.
And then gives a check engine management light that comes on.
So it's the kind of thing you need to take to a good workshop and let them run a diagnostic, see what the problem is, and resolve it.
Yeah,
Because-
otherwise we'll be here the whole show, entire
Yeah,
show.
and the thing is, like, I see, oh, I've replaced this, I've replaced that, I've replaced all these things. You've actually already wasted money.
Money, yep.
And people say, well, don't take the car to the workshop because do it yourself because it's cheaper. But sometimes in cases like this, you're spending 500, 600 rand, 700 rand, 1,000 rand, whatever it is on parts, where you could have had it fixed for 500 bucks, you know?
Yeah,
You've
take it to
wasted
Adam.
all that money.
Adam will get it done for 350, thereabouts.
Depends if you bring cash.
And with that, we've come to the end of this week's show. Thank you, Alan and Mike, for joining us in all your useful advice.
Thank you, guys. Much appreciated. Until next time, please buckle up, drive safely on the road, and treat the other drivers with respect.